Welcome to this University of Cambridge Career Service video on academic cover letters. This is part of our Career Essentials for PhDs and Postdocs series. In this video, you will identify what you need to communicate to the selection panel in your academic cover letter at the level of applying for a faculty position. We'll review what the academic cover letter is doing for your application and how to think about presenting yourself in a compelling and authentic manner. We'll think about how you can take your best pieces of evidence from your experience and skills and curate these to match the needs of the role in the department where you're applying. By thinking through the purpose of the cover letter, you will understand how to best structure your evidence and your experience to show who you are as a researcher to the selection committee. You will think about how to craft this in a way that fits the priorities of the place you are applying. And we'll also identify some top tips to follow in order to communicate the credibility and impact of your work clearly and in a targeted manner. It's helpful to have a visual of the academic career path in the UK to see where your cover letter for the academic faculty positions is coming into play. Leading up to what are typically permanent positions, crossing that green line, you would usually move from PhD through fixed-term roles, which can be research, teaching, or a combination of both. These are fixed-term contracts on soft funding where you're working on someone else's research project as a postdoc, or in a fixed-term teaching position, or on your own funding and doing your own independent research in a fellowship. Most often, looking toward an academic position in the longer term means looking toward a role that combines research, teaching, and administrative responsibilities in a faculty position at a university. The job documents to cross over that green line vary, but a core document for this will be the cover letter. What you need to submit with an academic application varies from institution to institution and country to country. The first place to look is in the job description and pay close attention to how the documents you need are described in terms of any parameters on length or format. A CV and cover letter are typically the core documents requested, but a research statement is also common. Teaching statements and diversity statements are becoming more common as well in the UK. You may find also that there could be an online application form or a personal statement where you will need to show your motivation and suitability in the same way you might in a cover letter. Think about how the principles of what we look at in this video apply to personal statements and online applications. We cover the other aspects of academic applications in our Careers Essentials for PhDs and Postdocs materials, so look out for these too. In terms of that motivation, suitability, and potential, it's helpful to understand the relationship of the cover letter to the CV. The traditional academic CV gives evidence of your eligibility. That is how you meet the criteria of the job. It is the complete picture of what you've been doing, a bit like a fact sheet. Academic selection panels often have a huge number of applications and will scan them quickly to decide whether to read further. CV is the hook to show that you have the relevant experience and skills they're looking for. It's clearly presented, focused on outcome and impact, and is easy to scan. The cover letter is where you demonstrate your motivation and your suitability. Here you show that you have an active and a clear vision to fulfill the specific role. Using prose, you're looking ahead to the job you're applying for. It's more about the employer and how you fit them. It's an advocacy document where you select evidence to show why you're a good fit for them. You give your best examples and pieces of evidence from your CV to show this fit. The cover letter and the CV then work in harmony. To enable a strong cover letter, these are the keys to keep in mind. Your cover letter prioritizes the most relevant and specific achievements and experiences. It's not a narration of your CV, and you really must be cautious to not include everything. It demonstrates your fit for the role and the department. It must be targeted and tailored, and it does take conviction and confidence to pick the key examples and deliver these in detail, and to let your CV do the rest of the work with the rest of your track record. Makes a connection between you and them. It's your chance to show you really understand the job and the department, and in your own words can show how you envisage filling the role. And finally, in writing, it's important to avoid cliches and empty phrases. Make every word count and be specific about you, and don't say something that every other candidate can say. In your cover letter, show with specific examples how you are an excellent candidate with a strong and relevant research and teaching track record. Don't just say that you're an excellent candidate with a strong and relevant research and teaching track record. Before you get going with drafting, read and become familiar with the job description. Who are they looking for? What kind of specialisms do they have? Speak to the academic contact on the job description if it's listed, or find out from other people you might know a little bit more about the department and why the position might even exist. Look at the website to start to think about how you would fit. Find out even more about the department from your networks or even from their ref assessments. Then take it from there. Your choice about what to include from the exhaustive CV of your track record is guided by what's relevant to them. If you think about how your profile fits first, the kind of image they should have of you that fits them, then you can pick the pieces of your research profile, teaching experience and strategies, your approach to funding, collaborations, and collegiality that they'll be the most interested in. The alignment with the role in the department will also be a thread running through your letter by linking the paragraphs to the priorities of the role. This isn't a theoretical exercise. You have to ground what you say in a couple of specific, tangible examples. For example, what is the department's USP? What are they best known for? What seminar series, research groups, or outreach programs could you contribute to? What facilities could you use? Special collections, equipment, performance spaces, perhaps? Who could you collaborate with, and what would be good about this for them? What is completely distinctive about you that you could offer if thinking about what other candidates might be looking like? Again, take your cue from the job description, read it over and over again, and make sure you don't have any vague statements. This is a sample of how you might structure an academic cover letter for a faculty position, but it's by no means the only way. Your steer will be from the job description and your own personal style as well. Again, it will fit in harmony with the other job documents, so the level of detail will vary depending on what else you're able to submit, for example, a research statement or a teaching statement. The opening lines. Here you introduce yourself concisely. Start with the basics of the job you're applying to and where you're working now, so they can situate you. Then think about how you might introduce yourself and your work to someone from their department, and introduce who you are as an academic by showing your overall profile in a way that fits with them. You will give additional details in the paragraphs that follow, but here you really want to grab them and get them to read on. You're already showing why you want to work with them at this point as well, in terms of pointing out something about the institution and something specific about the department. Next comes your research story. Why should they want you? Why are you excellent? And what would you bring? How will you benefit them? This will be brief if you're providing a research statement, and in more detail if not, 2 to 3 paragraphs for all of your research. Tell this research story with highlights, not your full chronology of everything you've ever done. You will have your own logic on how to write this. You're answering the question of why your research matters from the point of view of both the discipline and from the point of view of the particular department. Set enough context for a reader not working in this area to understand. You can then also integrate key and relevant academic dissemination achievements, such as publications. Future research vision and plans fit here as well, including your funding plans, fit with the institution, any key collaborations or networks that you might be bringing. Again, how your future work fits with the department. You can name academics that you might want to collaborate with. Teaching. Pick 1 or 2 examples of what and how you've taught in the past and what you could offer them. Which courses on their current curriculum could you teach for them? What new course could you introduce, and why would their students find it valuable? Can you give an example of an innovative teaching practice in your subject and how you would incorporate it into your lectures or your seminars? The structure of your teaching section will be led by the research that you've done on what they need the person in this role to be doing. Other elements to highlight. The level of emphasis will depend on the job description. It could include outreach and public engagement, policy or industrial work, non-academic collaborations, or other aspects of you as a colleague, perhaps administrative roles that you've taken on. And then a polite close. Here you don't reiterate everything you said. Brainstorm something that shows specifically why you want to work with them on this job and at this institution. Show that you know what they care about and what they're about. So again, you're selecting the CV elements that evidence this in this structure, your key achievements, and not just everything that you've ever done. Some best practices for you to consider as you start to put together your cover letter. Evidence everything. What you do say about yourself needs to be tangible and verifiable. So while you're selecting your best evidence, make sure you give us enough detail about that. So instead of saying I'm internationally recognized as an expert in my field, which isn't telling me anything specifically about you, it's better to show me what that's grounded in. For example, I was invited to deliver a keynote talk at a particular international conference relevant in your field. Make every word count. We typically say an academic cover letter is 2 pages maximum. The length isn't arbitrarily limited, but it's connected directly to forming a coherent argument for your case as a candidate, and ensuring that every statement is in support of that argument without extra information. Avoid jargon only understood to those in your field of specialization. Banish words like pioneering, cutting edge, interested in, groundbreaking. Make sure you're showing me how, through the detail, that your work is groundbreaking. Don't just say that. Try not to make lists that are difficult for the reader to interpret. Make sure that you pay attention to details, so that fonts might be the same as in your CV, for example, and take care with your formatting and follow the instructions that there are in the job description. Use positive language. So instead of try not to say things like, while I have not yet published any results from this work, or although I have never taught postgraduate students, or I have not yet secured funding for such and such, but try to say what you've done in a positive way, and make sure to get it proofread and get feedback. So finally, make sure you're doing this in your own voice. This should be an interesting story about you. Sometimes it can be helpful even to record yourself and start writing from that. And I'm going to leave you with just a few more resources that you might want to check out to help you to prepare. On our website, you can find a CV and cover letter guide that's written specifically for PhDs and postdocs, where you can find examples of CVs as well as some cover letters and some tips on how to put these together. From there, you can also access some quick guides, including planning an academic career, as well as another one on activities in Cambridge to boost your career. You might want to also have a look at some of our other Career Essentials videos, which you can get to on our YouTube channel or from our website, as well as some talks that we've done with PIs and fellowship holders, which you might also find helpful. And don't forget that if you would like to book a careers appointment for further one-to-one guidance on your cover letter application documents or anything else career related, please do book that through Handshake. Thanks very much. Good luck with your drafting, and don't forget to have a look at some of our other Careers Essentials for PhDs and postdocs videos.